The year was 1962, and at that stage of the game, South Africa was apartheid. So Africans were where they were, and the white people were where they were. And JFK was doing a world tour, and he happened to stop in South Africa. And part of his tour was to go around and obviously meet with all the politicians. And he also did the softer stuff for the cameras, so he went to some of the schools. And in 1962, my mom was 10 years old, and he went to the school that my mom was at. And at that stage, my mom had invented like a little game where they would fold paper and they would write sort of numbers on the folds, and then they would open it up and they would write letters on the inside. And basically the game would be, you pick a number and then they would sort of open up their fingers and close their fingers, and then it would show a letter and so on and so forth. And basically it would pretend to tell you your future. Simple little game, a couple of the girls played during lunch break. And JFK, on his tour around the school, actually saw this, and actually he asked my mom, would you mind if I took it? And in that moment of taking it, he held it up to what in the picture there's Hendrik Verwoerd, which was one of the apartheid construction people, and he started playing the game, and the impact of that in the media was just horrid, because the headline on the Sunday Times the next day read, "Politicians playing games." So needless to say, after that, I guess the political environment was just horrid, and JFK then lost his life tragically through an assassination, and South Africa just went on a downhill slide towards just basal apartheid and human hate. The other side of what happened with that particular article was that game just took off. So much so that I remember playing that game when I was in primary school. I remember playing that same game that my mom had, without knowing it, had actually made it famous. It's so famous that the BBC actually gave me a call just the other day. They're running a story on the games people play. With the advent of where we are and where we find ourselves, Facebook, LinkedIn, all these games and games within Facebook, Candy Crush or whatever, and the ways people connect, they're doing history of games, and also sort of taking a look at the effects of these games and how they grew. So they're touching on an element of, I guess, the political side with this particular game, but more so, I guess, the history of gaming and how people connect and where we're going as people. So I'm going to be interviewed, I think, in about a week's time. I got a call just last week from some British sounding lady from the BBC Knowledge Channel. So she's going to be interviewing me because my mom's recently passed away. So she's going to be asking me a whole lot of questions about the game, where it was formed, how it happened. And it's just a really great snapshot to be a part of history. And yeah, that's where I fit in.